guys, it's Sarah, and today I have my November wrap up. I'm recording this a little bit early, like a few days early, just because I have the time right now. The house is quiet, so I was like, I might as well do it now, or otherwise it's gonna like take forever. So for November, I had planned to do kind of a NetGalley November, so I definitely wanted to make sure that I read a few books from my NetGalley list. NetGalley is an online service that allows readers to get advanced copies of books and read them. It is all done electronically, so it's no physical books being sent out. It's all eARC, so you do have to have like a Kindle or a Nook or something, an iPad even, I think, that you can read electronic books on. But I have a good list. I think I have about 20 books on there that I still need to read and review. So I wanted to make sure that I concentrated on some of those this month. And I did read 3 of the 4 books that I had decided I was going to try to read this month. So that's pretty good. Okay, so the first book that I read in the month of November is The Broken Way by Ann Voskamp. This is a Christian nonfiction book, and I received this from the publisher in exchange for a review, which I did, and I will leave it linked down below if you guys want to check it out. But I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. It really hit home for me in a few certain areas that I'm dealing with in my life right now. So it was pretty amazing to be reading this and getting almost advice on situations I'm dealing with currently, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I really enjoyed this. Ann Voskamp is a pretty well-known Christian writer, and this is my first book from her, and I already have another one from her that I got as a gift, and I plan to read that pretty soon as well because I really, really enjoyed her writing. The next book I read is I Let You Go by Claire Mackintosh. I read this one on my Kindle, and I got it from NetGalley for a review, and I absolutely loved this book. I gave this one 5 stars as well. This is an adult thriller. It's like a psychological thriller, and it follows a car crash which killed a 5-year-old child, I believe 4 or 5, and that happens in the very beginning of the book, so that's not a spoiler, and it's in the synopsis. So a child is killed, and you kind of follow this whole story from both the perspective of the people who are involved in the accident and the perspective of the detectives who are trying to solve this because it was a hit and run. So they're trying to figure out who was behind the wheel of this car when it hit this child. And it really covers a lot of information, and it's done really, really well. And like I said, it's a psychological thriller, so there are a few twists and turns here and there. None of them I saw coming, and I really enjoyed it. It kept me on my toes. It shocked me, and it also broke my heart a little bit. This one, like I said, does deal with the death of a child, and it also deals with domestic abuse, so I would keep that in mind. If either of those topics are sensitive to you, you might not want to read it or might go into this with caution, knowing that these are aspects of it. But it was so good. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to be looking more from Claire Mackintosh in the future. And the next book I picked up is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. We read this for my book club this month. 5 stars on this one too, guys. 5 stars. If I could give it 10 stars, I would. This was so good. This book deals with domestic abuse as well. It's really hard for me to describe this book because it was so good, and it makes you feel things that you don't understand, and it makes you see aspects of domestic abuse that many people don't get to see because they've never been involved in it. It really makes you question the whole idea of, well, if he's hitting you, why don't you just leave? It makes you question that, and it makes you kind of understand some of the reasons why women either don't leave or they take so long to leave. So it really dives into a really difficult topic, and I think she handled it beautifully. And then there's also an author's note in here that you must read when you're done with the book. Don't read it before because it will spoil it, but when you're done reading this book, read the author's note because it makes so many things make sense, and it just really, I feel like it's necessary to read that. But this has been called one of her most personal books that she's ever written, and I can definitely see why. And it really is just done so well. I'm having the hard time finding the words for the book. Basically, Colleen Hoover has just completely blown this one out of the water. It was fantastic. It was phenomenal. One of the best books I've read this year so far. The next book I read is one that I listened to on audiobook, and that is Yesterday's Gone, Season 1 by Sean Platt and David Wright. This is a book that I got from NetGalley as well, and it's been published since 2011, so it's been out for a while. So I ended up using one of my Audible credits to get the audiobook for it, so I listen to it in the car when I'm, driving around town and all that good stuff. And this one is a post-apocalyptic book that follows a big group of characters from different areas of the United States. So something really big happens. No one really knows exactly what happened yet. I have finished the book and I still don't know what happened because this is a series of books. So what I'm gathering so far, it's kind of a big catastrophic thing that happened in the middle of the night, and a lot of the population is just gone, completely disappeared. No one knows why, no one knows who, no one knows how. And the survivors who are still on the earth are trying to figure out what in the world is happening, and they're trying to survive. So they're not only trying to survive whatever is happening, they're also trying to survive each other, because one of the characters is actually a serial killer. And so, he's a problem. So you definitely see these characters go through some struggles and some hard times and just trying to survive and trying to figure out how they can find their loved ones, if they even can find their loved ones, and how they can kind of gather together to figure out what's going on and survive, basically. This book was very, very good. The audiobook was really well done. It's narrated by a few different people depending on the character that you're following for each chapter, and that was really well done. So I definitely want to continue with this series, and I will continue with the audiobooks because the books are very long, which is fine, and audiobooks kind of help me push through some of the longer things. And the way that this book ended made me definitely want to keep going really soon. So I really enjoyed this one and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Shaken by Tim Tebow, and this was sent to me from the publisher in exchange for a review, which I do have a separate review video for you, so I will leave that link down below if you guys want to go check that out if you haven't already. But this is a Christian nonfiction as well, and Tim Tebow, as you know, is a football player, and he definitely has been in the spotlight a lot, not always by choice. And he just really talks about some of the hard times he's gone through and how he deals with them. And he has also been very persecuted for being a Christian and showing his faith openly. And that's a little bit hard to do in today's society. Today's society, more of the popular thing is to kind of reject that kind of stuff or just not talk about it. And he is very, very open about it. And that takes a lot of bravery, I think, on his part. And this really talks about of the criticisms he's had and why he got those criticisms and how he handled them. And I think he's done a fantastic job so far. This one I did give 3.5 stars, and basically because the pacing was a little bit slow for me and the story jumped around. All his story jumped around a lot. It wasn't kind of in a chronological order. That's just me being picky about that. But overall, I did enjoy it, and his message is very important. But if you want to hear more of my thoughts, I will leave a link to the review down below. And the last book that I read this month is Bad Boy by Elliot Wake, and I got this one from NetGalley to review as well. Elliot Wake is an author that I have never read from before, but I really wanted to try some of his work. And this book follows a transgendered male named Ren, who is a YouTube star, and he also is part of a secret society called Black Iris, which kind of focuses its attention on males who are either physically or even cyberly abusing women. So they kind of use their resources to take those men down. So this one I did not enjoy. I only gave it 2 stars. I do have a full review coming up for you on December 6th, which is the day that this book is going to be released. So I'll have more of my thoughts on that coming up here soon. So be on the lookout for that. But basically, to kind of summarize it, I really liked the aspect of the transgendered person and kind of seeing his transition, because he's physically going through a transition to become a male. So that made a lot of sense to me, because Elliot Wake is a transgendered person who's going through his own transition as well. So I know that a lot of Ren's experiences are based on Elliot's experiences. So I thought that was really educational and really well done. However, the plot of this book seemed very forced. and there was just a lot of kind of unnecessary drama and unnecessary sexual things happening, and it didn't make a ton of sense as a whole. So I will have a full review up for you soon on December 6th, like I said, and kind of talk more in depth on my feelings about the book as a whole. And I also am in the middle of 2 books currently, which I will talk about in my December TBR coming up here tomorrow. And so that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below what you read in November. Let me know what your favorite book was. Let me know if you had any disappointments like I did. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.